So, being mindful of the types and amount of fat in your diet is probably one of the most important components of a healthy diet, and is unfortunately one of the variables that has changed the most in the last 50 to 100 years towards more PUFA rich diets and less saturated fat. So, the types of fat you consume dietarily impacts the internal environment of your body, which impacts how you produce energy. With high levels of PUFAs, unstable molecules, inside your cells, and a buildup of high energy electrons, reductive stress, this is a recipe for damage throughout the body. So, improving health involves relearning how to utilize glucose, improving redox balance, and being very particular with the types of fat you're consuming every single day. Unfortunately, the types of fat inside your body takes a long time to fully change over, on a timeline of several months to years. So, it's important to remain consistent. So in this section, we're going to cover the best types of fats to cook with and eat. So for cooking fats, the types of fat we use to cook our food with is very important for our health. So we want to prioritize fats high in stable saturated fats. Now, vegetable oils are often touted as excellent cooking oils due to their relatively high smoke point. So they don't burn in high heat, so it's, quote, good for frying. But the smoke point of a fat does not tell you how stable the fat is. Oxidative stability and polyunsaturated fatty acids, PUFA content, are the best predictors of oil safety at high temperatures. With high PUFA levels and low oxidative stability, vegetable oils are quite possibly the worst option to cook with for our health. So PUFAs contain 2 or more double bonds, which makes them prone to oxidizing under heat and forming harmful byproducts. So the term vegetable oil is a general term used to refer to a variety of oils that may include corn, soy, safflower, sunflower, and cottonseed oil, all of which are high in PUFAs, meaning they are unstable and should not be exposed to heat. Yet these highly refined oils form the basis of modern food manufacturing and are used at most restaurants. Many of these oils are also highly refined, sourced from GMO plants, and are extracted using high heat, solvents, and other chemicals. Now, nature is smart and protects PUFAs in nuts, seeds with compounds like vitamin E, which can reduce the amount of oxidative damage. However, the harsh oil extraction process requires high heat, so some of those natural antioxidants like vitamin E are actually used up to protect the plant from oxidation. We then expose these oils to more heat during cooking, where more antioxidants are used up, and then the oils are again exposed to heat inside of our bodies at 98 degrees Fahrenheit, with little remaining antioxidants to protect from oxidation. So when it comes to cooking, you should prioritize a cooking oil that is stable and produces the lowest number of harmful compounds when heated. So PUFAs are the least stable and saturated fats are the most stable. So the more an oil can resist reacting with oxygen and breaking down, the safer and more stable the oil is to cook with. So as a reminder, saturated fat has 0 double bonds, and then as we add more double bonds, the fat becomes more unstable. Now, unfortunately, this is one of the problems with eating out at restaurants, as many restaurants use a lot of vegetable oils and seed oils. On occasion, that is not going to be a problem. But if you are regularly consuming fried foods, this can definitely negatively impact health. So here's a study from 2015 analyzing French fries from a number of fast food restaurants, and here's a quote from the study. In this study, it has been demonstrated that HNE, a toxic aldehyde which is produced during the heat treatment of frying oils, was incorporated into commercially available French fries purchased from 6 fast food restaurants in the Twin Cities, Minnesota. It is believed that frequently consumed fried foods containing considerable amounts of HNE, which is readily absorbed from the diet and incorporated into tissues, may be a public health concern, since HNE toxicity has been related to a number of common pathological conditions in the literature, end quote. So again, HNE is one of the toxic byproducts from the oxidation of linoleic acid and omega-6. Now, while we typically refer to certain fats as saturated or monounsaturated or polyunsaturated fatty acids, the truth is that all fats are made up of a combination of different types of fatty acids, and we refer to them by their majority. But since PUFAs are the least stable types of fat and easily damaged by heat, light, and oxygen, oils that are more unsaturated, higher in PUFAs, will oxidize more readily. So let's return to a slide from last week's video modules to further illustrate this point. So we have a wide number of different types of fat like olive oil, canola oil, sunflower, peanuts, chocolate, butter, dairy fat, tallow. And you can see how all of them have all three types of fats, saturated, PUFA, and MUFA. And what we're looking for is just making sure that there is enough saturated to balance out the PUFA and the MUFA. So of course we want to prioritize the fats on the right and limit the consumption of nuts and seeds, canola oil, other types of vegetable oil, and consume olive oil only in moderation. So again, just touching base on monounsaturated fatty acids, MUFAs, so like in olive oil. So MUFAs are less stable than saturated because, again, they have one double bond. Saturated have 0 double bonds. However, as we've discussed, we really don't want to overconsume MUFAs, monounsaturated fatty acids, especially when trying to regain glucose tolerance and if you're currently overweight, as they can turn on lipogenic enzymes. Honestly, if one were to choose between the different fat sources, we would definitely prefer you to have tallow, butter, lard, ghee, or coconut oil over olive oil and avocado oil any day. But again, if it's something you enjoy, definitely have it in moderation. Don't just go overboard. While there are definitely some benefits due to the polyphenols in olive oil, not really sure if those benefits outweigh the cons in the type of fat, oleic acid MUFA, in the oil if it's used in excess. However, when using olive oil, just make sure you use it for moderate heat cooking, like marinades, dressings, finishing oils, like just like tossing it on a salad. And the quality and the source matters a lot here, since these are not really regulated, and many olive oil brands can actually be cut with vegetable oils to reduce costs. So here we include a list of a variety of types of fats, again showing the saturated, monounsaturated, and polyunsaturated fatty acid content of each. So it can really help you visualize what sources are higher in saturated fats, what sources are higher in MUFA, and what sources are higher in PUFA. So again, similar to this type of slide. And in general, we really want to prioritize the fats that are a little bit higher in saturated fats in pink. And so our favorite fats to cook with are going to be beef or lamb tallow, ghee, coconut oil, butter, and then not listed here would be lard. So let's walk through the different temperature cooking. So for high heat cooking, for example, our favorites are tallow and ghee, and that's because they're rich in saturated fats, but they also have really high smoke points. So tallow has a smoke point of 420 degrees Fahrenheit, which is much higher than butter, and ghee has a smoke point all the way up to 480 degrees Fahrenheit. So tallow is rendered fat from beef fat or beef suet, which is the fat around the kidneys in a ruminant animal. So you can have beef tallow or lamb tallow. And then ghee is actually clarified butter, where the milk solids, so the small amount of whey, casein, and lactose that are remaining in butter, are actually removed. So that really increases the smoke point. So next up is medium heat cooking, like sauteing eggs, cooking meat on a pan, or baking like cookies, pies, muffins. So our favorite fats for this application would be ghee, tallow, butter, coconut oil, and lard. Ideally, that lard is sourced from low PUFA, pasture-raised pigs fed corn or soy-free diets. And that's because pigs are monogastric animals, so the types of fat in their diet will impact the types of fat in their body and thus the fat that you consume in the lard. So the smoke point of butter and coconut oil is 350 degrees Fahrenheit, so a little bit less than what we just showed for ghee and tallow. And the smoke point for lard is 370 degrees Fahrenheit. Our ancestors actually used butter and lard in a ton of baking recipes. And so here's actually a fun pie crust recipe from the 1800s where they used flour, salt, lard, and cold water for the pie crust. Now, you can also use fats to lightly coat produce when you're roasting it in the oven to crisp it up a little bit. So our favorite here is coconut oil or ghee, depending on the temperature and what type of final flavor you want to add to the dish. You You can also, of course, use butter if using slightly lower temperature. And again, if you're going to use avocado oil or olive oil on occasion, that's totally fine. Just again, make sure that you're sourcing high quality because those can be cut with vegetable oils. And for making dressings, you can make like a homemade mayo. We include a simple recipe here using egg yolks, coconut oil, vinegar, MCT oil, and salt. And then for other dressings, you can use coconut oil or liquid coconut oil or MCT. And again, using olive oil in moderation if that is something that you enjoy. All right, let's transition to the best types of dietary fats. So, best fats to eat and include on your dishes. So, we love butter. So, butter contains high concentrations of butyric acid, which boosts the number of thyroid hormone receptors in your cells, allowing you to use more thyroid hormone and improve metabolism. Butter is also high in stearic acid, which is an amazing saturated fat with metabolism boosting and anti-cancer properties. Stearic acid has also been shown to reduce visceral fat and improve body fat composition. So the types of fat in butter has been shown to improve gut health and improve gut barrier function. Butter is also nutrient dense, containing a ton of fat-soluble vitamins. And for those that may not tolerate butter well, next best option would definitely be ghee, which, as we mentioned earlier, is clarified butter. And so some of the potentially problematic compounds that someone may be having right now in butter, those are removed in ghee. We also love cream. So this includes like high-fat dairy products like cream or milk. And so high-fat dairy products can actually improve body composition and lower your risk of obesity, likely because of the metabolism and health-boosting fats like stearic acid. So cream is used to make butter, and so cream is going to contain the same beneficial types of fats that butter contains. Bone marrow is also another great fat that has definitely been consumed for a long time. It's nutrient dense, containing a ton of fat-soluble vitamins, and actually can contain some collagen and a little bit of calcium. And another one would be tallow, or the fat on like fatty cuts of steak. And so similar to the butter and cream discussion, tallow is also rich in stearic acid, the metabolism supporting fatty acid, and also high in fat-soluble vitamins. So tallow is made from rendered beef fat. And so this will also be on lamb fat as well. So you can get beef tallow or lamb tallow. We also love coconut oil. It's not as nutrient dense as, for example, butter. It doesn't contain fat-soluble vitamins, but it is highly saturated with little to no PUFA. We, of course, love egg yolks, incredibly nutrient dense, absolutely jam-packed with vitamins and minerals. We don't need to go overboard with eggs, as consuming more than like 5 egg yolks a day can definitely start introducing a lot of PUFAs and MUFAs, but do not skip out on egg yolks. And for those that have problems with eggs, the diet of the chicken is really important because any sort of allergies that you may have to certain foods, those can be passed through the chicken into the egg. So we have several customers at our farm, Angel Acres Egg Co., where we made our own custom feed. And we have many customers who can't consume any other egg. And it's likely because the feed that we give our chickens, corn and soy free, low in PUFA, impacts the types of allergies that show up in the final yolk. And last but not least, chocolate. So the fat in chocolate is actually really rich in stearic acid, that metabolism supportive saturated fat. And as you can see in this pie chart, the fat in chocolate is largely saturated, the green part of the pie chart. But make sure that you read ingredient labels, as there can unfortunately be soy oil or vegetable oil added to some brands. Don't worry about organic sugar being added to the chocolate. As we've talked about, that does not cause problems when consumed in an otherwise balanced diet. So your fats in meals will also come from meat, seafood, dairy, cheese, which we will discuss in next week's modules when we review the best types of protein.